All right. Welcome back, everyone, to LexTalk podcast, exploring English and linguistics in Thailand. We are back for season 4.
Whoa,
And you know what that means.
it's a new season.
New season, new deep dives. And,
Excellent.
we're going to be focusing on technology and ELT.
Yes, ELT for short.
ELT for short.
English language teaching.
So all of you educators and parents, and really anyone who just loves English,
Especially in the Thai context.
especially in the Thai context, this season is for you. So welcome.
Welcome.
Make sure you're following us. Don't forget to follow LexTalk on all platforms.
All the places.
All the places. Our website, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, SoundCloud.
We're even on Spotify now.
We're on Spotify. And you can find us at LexTalk Podcast.
Easy.
All right, so for this first deep dive of Season 4, we are talking about something that is really popular right now, and that is AI.
AI.
Artificial intelligence, and how it's being used in ELT, in English language teaching. And we're going to be talking about, how this is impacting Thai learners and global learners and how it's being used in classrooms, online,
All over.
everywhere.
Everywhere.
Classrooms are changing and online learning is changing.
Yeah.
So we really need to keep up to date with, how this is all happening.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting how people are like, oh, AI is going to replace teachers.
You hear that a lot.
But I really don't think that's the case, and I think we're going to kind of unpack that.
We're going to debunk that myth. It's not about replacing teachers.
Not at all.
It's about giving teachers more tools.
More tools to work with, exactly. So I think for people who are listening and maybe aren't as familiar with AI and what it is.
It can sound like a really complex topic.
Yeah, what is it?
Yeah, so in ELT, we're specifically talking about systems that can kind of do things that we think humans can do.
Okay.
So that's things like, writing.
So like writing a story.
Writing a story, writing a paragraph, translating from one language to another. Yeah.
Analyzing someone's speech, like looking at how someone speaks, the words they use, the grammar they use, and even giving feedback like a teacher would.
Okay.
So it's all about using computer systems to do those tasks. But really, at the end of the day, they are just
It's rules.
tools, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're based on a few key technologies that are really important to understand. You'll hear these thrown around a lot. So NLP, natural language processing,
Natural language processing.
that's basically how computers understand and process human language.
Okay.
So when you ask your phone a question,
Right.
that's NLP in action.
That's NLP.
It's understanding what you're saying.
Okay.
Then we have machine learning.
Machine learning. So this is like where the computer learns by itself.
It learns by itself.
Yeah.
You feed it tons and tons of data,
Data.
and it starts to see patterns in that data.
Okay.
And it can improve its performance without you having to program every single detail.
So it's kind of like it's thinking on its own in a way.
In a way, yeah.
Okay, interesting.
And then the third one is deep learning, which is kind of like machine learning on steroids. Okay. It uses these things called neural networks.
Neural networks.
Yeah, and these are like modeled after the human brain
Oh, wow.
to analyze really, really complex patterns. Like, if you think about all the subtle differences in accents,
Right.
deep learning can start to pick up on those differences.
Okay.
Or, the really complicated grammar rules in English.
Right.
Deep learning can start to figure those out as well.
Interesting. So these three, NLP, machine learning, deep learning, those are all part of AI.
They're all part of the umbrella of AI.
Okay. So now that we kind of understand like what it is a little bit better, what are some of the tools that people are using in ELT?
So this is the exciting part because there are so many tools out there now.
Yeah.
One of the big ones is AI-powered chatbots. Chatbots. So these can actually act as conversation partners for English language learners.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they can practice their speaking, they can ask questions, and they can even get feedback on their grammar.
So it's like having a conversation partner, but it's a computer.
Exactly.
Mm.
And you might have heard of ChatGPT or Replica. These are some popular examples.
Okay. Yeah, I have heard of those. Yeah.
And because of NLP, these chatbots can actually understand your questions
Wow.
about grammar or vocabulary and give you relevant answers.
So you can be like, hey, what is the past tense of this verb?
Exactly.
And it will tell you.
And it will tell you. And they can even adapt to your level.
So if you're like a beginner, it's not going to give you like really advanced vocabulary.
Exactly. It can adjust to your level and make it more engaging for you.
Okay, that's really cool. What else?
So another big one is adaptive learning platforms.
Oh, okay.
And these are platforms that can actually tailor the learning content to the individual student.
Ooh.
So a classic example is Duolingo.
Oh, yeah, Duolingo.
Everyone knows Duolingo.
Yeah, I've used Duolingo before.
And Duolingo uses AI to adjust the difficulty of the exercises based on how well you're doing.
So it's like it knows you're doing really well, so it's going to make it a little bit harder.
Exactly. Or if
Okay.
you're struggling,
Right.
it'll dial it back a bit and give you more practice.
Right.
And that really helps you to learn more effectively.
So it's kind of like having a personal tutor in a way.
In a way, yeah.
Okay, that's really cool. Are there other tools out there that people are using?
Oh, yeah, tons of them.
Yeah.
We have voice recognition tools, which are fantastic for pronunciation practice.
Okay.
You know how your phone can understand when you talk to it?
Right.
That's voice recognition, and that technology is now being built into language learning apps.
Okay.
So you can actually practice your pronunciation and get feedback.
Wow. So it can tell you if you're pronouncing something correctly?
It can tell you if you're pronouncing it correctly. It can give you tips on how to improve.
That's amazing.
It's really helpful.
What else?
We also have AI writing assistants.
Writing assistants, like for essays and things like that?
Exactly. So they can help you generate ideas.
Okay.
They can check your grammar and spelling, of course.
Yeah.
But they can even give you suggestions on how to make your writing clearer and more stylish.
So that's like having like a grammar checker, but way more advanced.
Way more advanced, yeah.
Bye.
And then we also have automated speech feedback systems.
Speech feedback system. So that's kind of like the pronunciation thing we talked about, but like a whole system.
Yeah. So this is where the system actually listens to you speak English.
Okay.
And then it gives you feedback on your pronunciation, your fluency, even like the rhythm of your speech.
Wow. So it's like analyzing everything about how you're speaking?
Pretty much, yeah.
Huh.
And there are apps out there like Elsa Speak,
Yeah.
Speakable,
Oh, I've heard of Elsa Speak.
and even Google Assistant has some built-in features for this.
Wow.
And this is really helpful because you get that instant feedback.
Right.
So you don't have to wait for a teacher to correct you.
You know what I think would be really helpful for that?
What's that?
Is like for Thai learners who maybe struggle with the R and the L sound.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that's like a really common...
It's a classic challenge.
Yeah. So if you could have something that's like, okay, you're not pronouncing that correctly, that would be amazing.
And that's exactly what these apps can do.
Wow.
They can pinpoint those specific sounds that you're struggling with and give you very targeted feedback.
That's so cool.
It is cool. And then finally, we have intelligent tutoring systems.
Intelligent tutoring systems, I feel like that's like the most advanced one.
It kind of is.
Yeah.
Think of it like a really, really patient AI grammar teacher
Okay.
that could actually identify your weaknesses in things like verb tenses or sentence structure.
Okay.
And it can give you endless practice exercises until you master those areas.
It never gets tired of you asking it questions.
Never gets tired, never gets frustrated.
That's amazing.
So it's a really helpful tool for students who need that extra support in grammar.
So you talked about the history of AI. I mean, have we always used AI to learn languages?
So not really in this way. Like the
Yeah.
idea of using computers to help us learn languages has been around for a while.
Right.
But the really big advancements in AI, especially in the last maybe 10 years or so,
Yeah.
that's what's made it so much more powerful and sophisticated.
Okay.
In the past, these systems were based on very rigid rules, but now AI can learn and adapt in a much more human-like way.
So it's become more intelligent.
It has. It's become more intelligent.
So let's talk a little bit about how AI can help teachers. I think sometimes teachers feel like, oh no, AI is going to take my job.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's the case. I think it's really about helping teachers do their jobs even better.
Absolutely.
So what are some of the things that AI can do for teachers?
Well, I think one of the most exciting areas is in lesson planning and content creation.
Okay.
Because, teachers spend so much time creating materials,
Chat.
finding resources. And there are some tools now that can really help with that.
Like what kind of tools?
So you have ChatGPT, which we talked about before,
Mm-hmm.
but also things like Grammarly, which is great for checking grammar and spelling.
Mm-hmm.
And even Canva has this feature called Canva Magic Write.
Oh, I love Canva.
Canva's
We think of
fantastic.
Canva all the time for like making worksheets.
Yeah. So Canva Magic Write can actually help you generate text and visual elements very quickly.
Oh, wow.
So, if you need to create a poster or a handout or a presentation,
Mm-hmm.
Canva Magic Write can help you do that much faster.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so like what's an example of like how a teacher might use these tools?
Okay, so let's say a teacher is preparing a lesson on giving directions in English.
Okay.
They could use ChatGPT to generate a sample dialogue between two people asking for and giving directions.
Okay.
And then they could use Grammarly to make sure all the language is correct and appropriate for the level of their students.
Right.
And then if they wanted to create a really nice looking map or some visuals to go with the dialogue, they could use Canva Magic Write to do that really quickly.
Wow. So it's like it's helping the teacher be more efficient and creative.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it frees up more time for the teacher to actually focus on teaching.
Right, instead of like being stuck doing all the prep work.
Exactly. So it's really about making the teacher's life easier.
Right. And are there other things that AI can do in this area of like lesson planning and content creation?
Oh, yeah, tons of things. It can help you come up with ideas for activities.
Okay.
It can help you write comprehension questions for a reading passage.
Oh, that's great.
It can generate vocabulary lists on a specific topic.
Okay.
It can even design quizzes.
Wow.
So it can really automate a lot of those tasks that teachers used to spend hours on.
So basically, it's like having a teacher's assistant,
Yeah, in a way,
but digital one.
but a digital one, yeah.
Okay, that's cool. And we talked about assessment,
Yes, assessment.
grading papers.
That's the part that teachers love.
Oh my goodness, grading papers is the worst.
So time-consuming.
So time consuming. So how can AI help with assessment?
Well, there are tools now that can actually provide real-time feedback to students on their writing.
Okay.
So these tools can analyze the student's writing and identify errors in grammar, spelling, even punctuation.
Mm-hmm.
And they can also look at things like the clarity and organization of the writing.
Wow.
And they can give the student feedback on all of those aspects.
So it's like having an editor,
Yes, it's like having a personal editor,
but it's instant.
but it's instant.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what are some of those tools that can do that?
So some popular ones are Quilliance,
Quilliance,
Gradescope,
Gradescope.
and Write and Improve, which is actually from Cambridge Assessment.
Oh, wow.
So these tools can be really helpful for students because they get that immediate feedback
Right.
and they can make corrections and improve their writing.
Yeah, and they don't have to wait for the teacher to grade it and give it back to them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it can also save teachers a lot of time because they don't have to manually correct every single error.
Right, because sometimes you get like a stack of papers and it's like,
It's
well,
overwhelming
when am I going to grade all of these?
and it takes forever.
Yeah.
So these tools can really help to speed up that process.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the teacher can still look over it and like make sure it's all good, but like if it's already been like pre-graded in a way.
It takes a lot of the burden off the teacher.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what about essay grading? I mean, I know a lot of teachers really struggle with essay grading.
Oh, yeah, it's so subjective.
It is, yeah.
And it takes so long to read and assess each essay.
Yeah.
But AI can actually help with that too.
Really?
Yeah. There are systems now that can automatically grade essays based on criteria set by the teacher.
Wow.
So the teacher can say, okay, I want you to look at these specific aspects of the essay, the grammar, the vocabulary, the organization,
Right.
and the AI can actually assign a score based on those criteria.
So it's like it's taking away some of that subjectivity.
It can help to reduce the subjectivity.
Right, because, maybe you're in a good mood, you give it a higher grade. Maybe you're tired, you give it a lower grade.
Or you might be influenced by the student's previous work.
Right.
So AI can help to make that grading more consistent.
Okay, that's really interesting. And I know sometimes teachers give writing prompts to their students.
Right.
Can AI help with that?
It can. AI can actually generate writing prompts
Wow.
based on the specific learning objectives of a lesson.
Oh, wow. So it can like tailor the prompt to what the students are learning?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the prompts are more relevant and engaging for the students.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And there's even some research now looking at how AI could help with peer review.
Peer review.
Yeah. So you know how students sometimes give feedback to each other on their writing?
Right.
Well, AI could actually help to make that feedback more focused and helpful.
Okay.
So it could actually guide the students on what to look for and how to give constructive criticism.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. So now let's talk about the learners. We've talked about how AI can help teachers,
Yeah.
but how is AI directly impacting how students are learning English?
So I think one of the biggest areas is in speaking and pronunciation practice.
Okay.
We talked about those apps like Elsa Speak and Speakable.
Hmm.
And these are great because they can give students really personalized feedback on their pronunciation.
Oh.
They can listen to the student speak,
Right.
and they can identify specific sounds that the student is struggling with,
Mm-hmm.
and then they can give them tips on how to improve.
And they can listen as many times as they need.
Exactly. And they don't feel self-conscious because they're not talking to a real person.
Right. Like sometimes you might be embarrassed to practice speaking in front of a teacher or other students.
Exactly.
But if it's just you and the app,
You can practice as much as you want,
you can just keep trying.
and you can really focus on those specific sounds.
Yeah, that's great. And what about personalized learning?
Personalized learning is another big area where AI is making a difference.
Okay.
So we talked about Duolingo before,
Mm-hmm.
but there are other apps like LingQ and Mondly
Yeah.
that can also tailor the learning experience to the individual student.
So how do they do that?
So these apps use AI algorithms to track the student's progress,
Okay.
and they can identify the areas where the student is doing well,
Right.
and the areas where they need more help,
Mm-hmm.
and then they can adjust the content and the exercises accordingly.
Oh, so it's like it's constantly monitoring how you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's making sure that you're always being challenged at the right level,
Okay.
and it's avoiding unnecessary repetition.
So it's making the learning more efficient.
Much more efficient.
Okay, cool. And what about vocabulary learning?
Vocabulary learning is another area where AI can be really helpful
Okay.
because there's so many words to learn.
Right.
So there are apps now that use something called spaced repetition.
Spaced repetition.
Yeah. And this is based on research that shows that we learn best when we review information at spaced intervals.
Okay.
So these apps can actually predict the best time for you to review a particular word
Oh, wow.
based on how well you've remembered it in the past.
Okay.
So it's like it knows when you're about to forget a word,
Right.
and it reminds you to review it just in time.
Okay. That's really smart. So it's like it's preventing you from forgetting it.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's amazing. What else?
And AI can also help with grammar learning.
Okay.
So there are systems that can analyze the student's writing
Right.
and identify the specific grammar mistakes that they're making.
Okay.
And then they can provide targeted exercises to help the student improve in those areas.
So it's kind of like those intelligent tutoring systems that we talked about.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
specifically for grammar.
Exactly.
Okay, that's cool. So you've mentioned a couple of times how AI can be really helpful for Thai learners of English.
Absolutely.
Can you give some more specific examples?
So, for example, imagine an AI-powered platform that has been trained on a massive data set of Thai English learners.
Okay.
So it knows the common mistakes that Thai learners make,
Mm-hmm.
and it can actually provide feedback that is specific to those errors.
So like maybe the tones or something like that?
Exactly. Or the pronunciation of certain consonant clusters,
Mm-hmm.
or the way that Thai learners use articles in English.
Right.
So it'd be really helpful to have that kind of targeted feedback.
So it's like it understands the specific challenges that Thai learners face.
Exactly. And it can tailor the learning experience to address those challenges.
That's really cool. So bringing it all together, what would you say are the biggest benefits of using AI in ELT?
I think for teachers, it's really about saving time
Okay.
and being able to provide more personalized support to their students.
Right.
Because AI can take over some of those time-consuming tasks,
Like the grading.
like the grading, like the lesson planning,
Yeah.
and it can also help teachers to identify the individual needs of their students and provide more targeted support.
Okay.
And for learners, I think the biggest benefits are the opportunity to practice without judgment,
Mm-hmm.
to get instant feedback on their performance,
Right.
and to have a learning experience that is tailored to their individual needs and goals.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. I mean, it sounds like AI can really revolutionize the way we learn and teach English.
I think it has the potential to,
Yeah.
and it's already making a big impact.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot about the benefits of AI,
Yeah,
but are there any challenges or things we should be aware of?
absolutely. I think one of the biggest concerns is data privacy,
Okay.
because a lot of these AI systems collect data on students.
Right.
So it's really important to have clear policies in place about how that data is being used and protected.
So like at the school level or at the government level?
Yeah, at all levels. School level, government level, even the companies that are developing these AI systems,
Okay.
they need to be transparent about how they're using the data.
Right.
And they need to make sure that it's being used responsibly and ethically.
Yeah. I mean, because with all this technology, sometimes it feels like our privacy is kind of,
It's a big concern these days.
yeah, it's a big concern.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something to think about.
And another challenge is the potential for over-reliance on AI.
Oh.
We don't want to get to a point where we're just relying on these systems to do everything.
Right.
We still need human interaction in the classroom.
Yeah.
We still need teachers to guide and support the learning process.
And to motivate students.
Absolutely. So I think it's really important to use AI as a tool.
A tool.
Yeah. It's not a replacement for teachers.
Right. It's like an assistant to the teacher.
Exactly.
Like another resource that teachers can use.
Yeah. And I think teachers still need to be very involved in selecting the AI tools that they use.
Right.
And making sure that they're appropriate for their students and for their teaching goals.
So it's like they need to be discerning about which tools they're using.
Absolutely. And they need to think about how they're going to integrate those tools into their lessons in a way that is effective and engaging.
So it's not just about like, oh, I have this cool new AI tool, I'm going to use it for everything.
No, it's about using it strategically
Strategic.
and thoughtfully
Yeah.
and making sure that it's actually supporting the learning process.
Okay, good. Anything else we should be aware of?
I think also the digital divide is a big issue
Okay.
because not all schools have access to the same resources.
Right.
So, some schools might have lots of computers and high-speed internet,
Yeah.
and other schools might not.
So how do we make sure that everyone has access to these tools?
That's a big question. I think it's really important to advocate for equal access to technology
Yeah.
and to make sure that all students have the opportunity to benefit from these advancements in AI.
Right. And to make sure that teachers are trained on how to use these tools effectively.
Absolutely. Teacher training is essential.
Yeah.
And ongoing support
Yeah.
because these technologies are constantly evolving.
Right. So it's not like you go to one training and then you're good to go.
No, it's a continuous process of learning and adapting.
So it's like we're all learning together.
Yeah, we're all on this journey together.
Okay. Well, this has been a really interesting deep dive into the world of AI in ELT.
It has been a deep dive.
So just to kind of summarize, I think we've seen that AI can be a really valuable tool for both teachers and learners.
Definitely.
It can save teachers time. It can provide more personalized learning experiences.
It can make learning more engaging.
Yeah.
And it can help students to achieve their language learning goals.
But it's important to remember that AI is a tool.
It's a tool.
And it's not a replacement for teachers.
Not at all.
So we need to use it thoughtfully and strategically.
Absolutely.
Okay. So for our next deep dive, we're going to be talking about something that I know a lot of our listeners are interested in.
Oh, yeah.
And that is language learning apps.
Language learning apps. Specifically for Thai learners.
Specifically for Thai learners. So we're going to be looking at what makes a good language learning app.
Yeah. What are the features that are really effective?
Yeah. And what are some of the best apps out there for Thai learners?
That's right. So if you're a Thai learner of English, or if you know someone who is...
Or if you're a teacher who's working with Thai learners.
Definitely tune in for that one. It's going to be a good one.
And before we go, just a reminder to follow us on all of our platforms.
All the places.
All the places. Our website, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn.
SoundCloud, Spotify.
SoundCloud, Spotify. And you can find us at LexTalk Podcast.
That's right.
All right. So until next time.
Until next time.
Let's talk.
Let's learn.
Let's talk.
LexTalk.